I stood on the porch of my ranch, boots caked in red dust, watching a black truck sink deeper into the mud. My old tractor was still chained to it, the engine cooling from the effort of dragging that beast halfway across the field. The truck, belonging to the HOA's self-appointed enforcer, was now buried axle-deep in wet earth, utterly stuck. Officer Carl, the so-called community watchdog, was screaming, waving a citation book like it could tame a storm. "You've crossed a line, Tom," he bellowed. "A big one." I didn't say a word. I just stepped off the porch, arms crossed, letting the silence speak louder than his tantrum. The neighborhood was watching now. Some pretended to water their lawns, others peeked through blinds, and one guy filmed from behind a mailbox. Carl's face was beet red, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes, not because I'm violent, I'm not, but because he realized he'd picked a fight with the wrong rancher. Sirens wailed in the distance, and I knew things were about to get messy. How did a quiet man like me, who just wanted to raise cattle and live free, end up dragging an HOA officer's truck into a mud pit? Let me take you back. 6 weeks earlier, I'm Tom Harper, 48, born and bred in Texas, now settled in Colorado to escape the noise, the chaos, and the petty rules of city folks. I sank my life savings into this 30-acre ranch just outside a fancy new HOA neighborhood called Silver Pines. The name sounded serene, but the people running it? Far from it. I've got 2 horses, a dozen cows, a rescue dog named Titan, and my 16-year-old daughter, Lily, who visits on weekends. Life was good until the HOA decided my freedom was their problem. My ranch borders Silver Pines, but I'm not part of their association. I bought this land before they existed, fair and square. That didn't stop them from trying to leash me. Leading the charge was Carl, a retired mall cop turned HOA tyrant, driving a shiny black truck with HOA plates, a belt full of gadgets, and an ego bigger than my barn. The first time we met, he slapped a note on my gate: violation of HOA landscaping guidelines. Grass must be 4 inches or less. I laughed and called him. "This is private property, Carl. I'm not in your HOA." He barked, "You're adjacent," like that gave him authority. "I'm not under anything," I shot back. "Stay off my land." But Carl didn't listen. The next week, I caught his truck parked on my property, just past the gravel road separating my ranch from Silver Pines entrance. He was inside, snapping photos with a big camera like he was on safari. I knocked on his window. "You're on my land," I said calmly. "Move your truck." He smirked. "Just patrolling for suspicious activity." "This is my ranch," I repeated. "You don't patrol here." He suggested I join the HOA to fix these problems, then drove off. But he kept coming back 3 more times that week, always in the same spot. One day, I found him poking around my barn, acting like he owned it. I called Sheriff Larson, a no-nonsense guy who listened, but said there wasn't much he could do without catching Carl in the act. So, I installed cameras along the east side facing Silver Pines. The footage showed Carl's truck parked daily, sometimes for hours. I took it to the HOA office in town and met Karen, the board president, blonde, smiley, and sharp as a tack. She dodged my questions, chirping about safety and theft concerns. "The only trespasser is your guy," I said. She just smiled. I left frustrated but not defeated. Then I waited. The next time Carl parked on my land during his lunch break, I hooked his truck to my tractor with a steel chain and dragged it into the muddiest part of my cattle field. When he returned, he lost it, screaming as the neighborhood watched. But when the sirens arrived, things didn't go his way. Sheriff Larson pulled up, followed by a sleek black truck with county plates. Out stepped Commissioner Grant, a tall man with silver hair and quiet authority. Carl stammered, "Commissioner Grant, what are you doing here?" Grant ignored him, eyeing the mud-soaked truck. "You Tom Harper?" he asked. I nodded. "Tell me what's going on." Before I could speak, Carl jumped in, accusing me of destruction of property. Grant silenced him with a raised hand and turned to me. I laid it all out: the trespassing, the citations, the cameras, the warnings. I had footage, timestamps, and a survey map proving my land's boundaries. Grant's face hardened as he turned to Carl. "You parked on land you knew wasn't yours?" Carl mumbled about unclear boundaries. Grant wasn't having it. He suspended Carl on the spot, pending investigation, and promised a tow truck for the vehicle. "You did the right thing, Harper," he said, shaking my hand. Most would have let it slide. I thought it was over, but that night, Titan started barking at the gate. I found a note pinned to the fence with a hunting knife. "This ain't over, cowboy." No signature, but I knew it was Carl. Sheriff Larson took it seriously, promising to dust for prints, but warned me to stay vigilant. Then, Sunday morning, I found tire tracks behind my barn and red spray paint. "Join the HOA or else." My blood ran cold. This wasn't just a grudge, it was a war. Lily arrived that afternoon, spotting the tire marks immediately. "Is this from him?" she asked. I nodded. Some men don't take no for an answer. She clenched her fists. "We have to fight back." I calmed her. "Smart, not reckless." I called my friend Mike, a retired Army engineer, who arrived with cameras, drones, and motion sensors. We turned the ranch into a fortress. That Friday night, the motion alarm pinged. I stepped outside with Titan and a shotgun slung low not to use, just to warn. I saw a figure in a hoodie, then two more in the bushes. "You're on private property," I shouted. Carl's voice cut through the dark. "I warned you, Harper. You should have joined." Titan growled as a drone hummed above, its laser dot on Carl's chest. Mike's voice crackled through the drone. "Smile, you're on surveillance." Carl and his crew bolted, tripping over themselves. I didn't call the cops yet. Instead, I took the footage to Karen at the HOA office. Her face paled as she watched. "Report this yourself," I said, "or I'll send it to every resident and the police." She whispered, "I didn't authorize this." I replied, "But you encouraged it." That night, I noticed my irrigation system's power cord was cut, the control box smashed, with "Obey" spray painted in black. They were hitting my livelihood. My crops were wilting. It was time for war. I rebuilt a hidden cattle trench, filling it with wet clay covered by dry dirt to trap. When Carl's truck rolled onto my land again with a young HOA lackey, it sank into the trench. Carl cursed. His buddy slipped into a tree, and I called Sheriff Larson. He arrested Carl for trespassing, shutting down their easement excuse. That evening, a slick lawyer, Richard, offered me a buyout and HOA membership. I laughed. "You're offering me poison in a pretty glass." He left, but not before saying, "All fences fall, Harper. Think about that." Then came the annexation letter, claiming Silver Pines wanted to extend their boundary around my land. The bank flagged my paid-off mortgage for property risk. I was being squeezed. Lily and I fought back, distributing flyers to neighbors, sparking a petition. But then, during a thunderstorm, my barn went up in flames. We saved the animals, but the barn was gone. Sheriff Larson found a gasoline can arson. I was done playing nice. Mike brought more cameras and a wildlife tower. I sent evidence to news outlets, a lawyer named Helen, and the county. The story exploded, a rancher versus a corrupt HOA. The annexation was denied, Karen resigned, and footage caught Carl setting the fire. He was charged with arson. The HOA collapsed, new board members took over, and my barn was rebuilt with donated lumber. Lily's blog, Ranchline Diaries, went viral. Titan got a new collar and local fame. But even then, Carl lurked. One night, I saw a shadow at the fence. At 3:08 a.m., sensors caught three men Carl with bolt cutters and gasoline. I confronted them, rifle in hand. "One more step, and you're done." They ran, but Sheriff Larson's cruisers caught them. Carl slipped in the mud trench, cuffed in the same sludge where his truck once sank. "This was my community," he spat. I replied, "No, Carl. You tried to own it. The land belongs to those who respect it." The HOA was dismantled, my ranch stood strong, and Lily painted a sign, "Stand your ground, Harper Ranch, Est. 2013, never for sale." People drive by now, not to threaten, but to thank me. I didn't just save my land, he showed that truth, grit, and a little mud can stop even the most power-hungry. But as I sit on my porch, watching the stars, I know men like Carl never truly stop. And I'll be ready when they try again.